What's up, everybody? Welcome to Podcast Now. I'm Alex, and in this video, I want to talk about Jurassic World Evolution 2, why I'm buying the game, and why I think you should too. This is my series where I look at a game or look at something, game or movie, before it releases and talk about, obviously as the title suggests, whether I'm getting it or not, and whether you guys should as well. And it's just me talking, just kind of a preview of my impressions of it. Nothing too serious, nothing too in-depth, specifically for this game, because there's a couple things we need to get out of the way. First, number one, I did play the original game. Okay, I'm a huge fan of management games in general, but I never go too deep really with any of them. Maybe like Zoo Tycoon, one of those games I played literally nonstop. I put probably 200, 300, 400 hours in. That was probably the most, and same thing actually with Sims 2. Maybe it was Zoo Tycoon 2. Whatever those games were, I put so much time into them. So I do love management games, and I love the intricacies, and I love literally the managing parts of them. But more recently, it's become where I love them, and then I play them, and I don't get too far with them, or I get confused too easily. And so, just so you kind of know the guy you're dealing with here on the video, if this is the first time you guys are ever watching, right? Just to make it very transparent where I stand. So for the first game, I played it, I really liked it, but I didn't play it much. And again, I didn't go too in-depth with it. So, and you see people online, I actually watched a couple people that were able to play the preview build, when they got to play a couple hours of the game, and obviously much more in depth, from them than I could ever give you. This is just, again, kind of why I'm excited for it. It does look bigger and better in every single way. That's kind of the number one thing. See, when the game was first announced, it's like, cool, first game was solid, I enjoyed it, there's really no reason for me to get, or even not to get, kind of like I'm like a middling kind of opinion on this game, but where it's probably more generally higher, where it's like, okay, well, I'll probably end up getting it. My wife really, really likes the Jurassic franchise, Jurassic Park, Jurassic World. I like dinosaurs, I like management games, so it's kind of a match made in heaven, and I really don't see a reason to not buy the game. But is there anything, is there like defining features about it? That's kind of what I went to look up before I recorded this video, right? Is there anything that actually makes this game different than the first game? Is I just flat out did not know. I just didn't. And from what I've gathered, this game does do quite a bit new, and does, I would say, fix, expand, emphasize all of these words more than the first game did. So really, to me, and I will say this, okay, well, let me actually cut to this. One thing I noticed when watching other people play is, in my opinion, how confusing a lot of the stuff looked. Now, obviously, you just watching a management game going off in real time, these people like pressing all these buttons and all this stuff, like I don't think it can't get confusing. I think it's just, I think automatically it's going to be a very confusing thing. Obviously, you're going to get used to it, and you're going to figure it out, and you're going to be just fine, right? I guess to an extent. There's probably like a gray area there, like a game like City Skylines. I love to death City Skylines, but my dear God, again, if you get into the mud, into the thick of things in that game, it can get very confusing, very messy, very quickly. I don't mind that. It's probably part of the reason why I can't get too far into these games now, but I guess my general thing with this game is at least it's here. At least if I want, because again, it's a little selfish, this video is talking about me. If I want to get that in depth with this game, I feel like this game has all of the proper tools now to do it. Whereas the first game maybe didn't, or maybe they weren't, fleshed out right, or maybe they weren't really liked by people online. Again, like my opinion is generally, it's very, there's just not a lot of depth to it in terms of the first game. I think you go online, you see people with some very strong opinions one way or the other on the first game. So that's kind of how I look at the second game, is I'm going in, I'm expecting a fun time. I want the little that I got in the first game in terms of how much I played it. I want that. And then if you want to give me more, you give me more. Obviously improvements, or I would like improvements here and there. And that's kind of it. Like, truly, my opinion on these kind of things, and maybe it's because of the kind of game it is, right? When I see, like, a roller coaster tycoon or anything that has to do with, like, amusement parks, I do think they need to sell me on them being different. I don't even remember what the game's called because there's like Planet Coaster and then Planet Zoo, but there's all of these. Then there's like smaller versions or like games just made from different developers. There's a game that was announced a few months ago that is more like a roller coaster thing. It's like it's like an amusement park. Actually, no, it's an amusement park thing. I think amusement something. I actually covered it on my second channel. But the point being, it's another amusement manager game, right? And so the thing to me is, well, that's fine. Automatically, you kind of have my interest because you said management game and it's an amusement park, so I'm in. But I need to know what makes it different because it's, I mean, there's like 1,000 other games like it. I can't even tell the difference between the names. If you told me one game had the name of a different game, I'd believe you because I just don't know. You know what I mean? And honestly, you could say, well, Alex, that's just you. I would say a casual gamer who's going on the store of Steam, of PlayStation, of Xbox, they can't tell the difference, okay? For the most part. That's just an assumption. Maybe that's wrong, but I would argue that, okay? So, for this game, though, the Jurassic World, I guess the thing it automatically always has is it's got dinosaurs. Like, what other, you know what I mean? So maybe that's why I'm generally, like, nicer to it, or it's more inviting in a way, or just kind of stands out without it even having to do too much stuff. You know what I mean? Again, you see all the enhancements they make for the second game. You see all the things they're improving, just all of this stuff. And it's like, that's great, but you kind of had me at dinosaurs. And like that, and that's your base point, and that's really all you need, I think, for the initial jump in. I'm not stupid, I'm not ignorant. If you bought the first game and you're going into the second game and you actually like cared about the first game and play it a lot, I think there has to be big jumps in a sequel game like this. Otherwise, you're just, it's like an EA thing, like for sports games. Like, it's kind of, maybe it looks nicer, it's a new roster update, it is maybe 1 or 2 extra modes, but for the most part, it's the exact same game. So why buy Evolution 2 if you have Evolution 1, right? I will say that, again, not to be like just ignoring that issue, that's something that you have to do. But again, from everything I've gathered, it's got that going for it as well. So this is kind of an easy one for me. This was one that as soon as it was announced, or actually it was rumored and it was leaked, and I saw that. I think we covered that on one of these channels, and I was like, okay, I'm in. Then they showed it, and I was like, all right, well, now it's official. It's going to happen. And really from there, again, I'm a fan of dinosaurs, not as much as maybe other people. I'm not even the biggest fan of Jurassic Park or World, but that's okay. I like dinosaurs. I like management games. My wife's really into it. So it's really something that I think was always going to happen. I just hope I'm not playing the same game. And I also, again, I don't want it to be too confusing, and yet again, I got to be careful how I say that, right? Because I don't want that to take away from people who want it to be super in depth. That's kind of even my thing for like hockey. I'm a big hockey guy, so like the NHL games, I want a mode where you just see every number, statistic, analytic in the world for these players to like determine your lines and all this stuff. Like, I want that, and actually there is a game like that on Steam, but like that game is not for everybody because it's too confusing, it's too messy. And so like I get it, I understand. So I can see it from both ways, right? I don't want the game to be all that confusing. At the same time, I want it to be, in depth. I want there to be things there so that for people that want to, or even for me, right? If I want to play this game for 2 weeks straight and I want to go super in depth with making a little my own little amusement park of dinosaurs, I want to be able to go all the way, and I think that this game is going to provide that. So let me know what you guys think, in the comments. Did you play the first one? Are you excited for the second one? All that stuff. Let me know in the comments. Make sure you guys are subscribed to the channel if you did like this stuff. Hit the bell icon so you guys know when all these videos go up. I will be covering the game to a limited capacity for sure over the next couple of weeks, and then when the game comes out, I'll play it. We'll talk about it on the channel. Again, you're not going to get as much in-depth from me as you are from like people that only cover management games, stuff like that. But I do have things to say, I think, that are different than others. So if you want to follow me on any of my other social media accounts, I have a Twitter, I have a second channel. We also have Patreon and YouTube memberships. Links for all of that are in the description below. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you all on the next video.